All right, we're live. Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
All right, and I'm going to open up the live chat so that I can see everything here. And I'm going to put my phone volume down so that we don't get any feedback. And I'm going to return my screen back to you all so I can actually see you now. There you are. Okay, and we should be live now. Let's see. Yep, we're live.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Okay, we have a few people joining right now, but I'm going to introduce our guests of honor now. We're going to be talking about, oops, does someone have their phone on or their computer on volume? I hear some feedback. Yeah, let's see.
Is it okay?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Okay, I don't hear any echo anymore. Okay, hi everyone. This is the Michael Jackson Book Club Facebook group. We're here with our guests of honor, Brenda and Siren, who are the author and artist behind the beautiful storybook, The Seventh Child, and we're so excited to have them today. I have seen Siren and Brenda's work all over social media, and I can't believe I'm actually talking to both of them today. It's really exciting. And so this will be an interactive chat, everyone. If you have questions for our guests of honor, who are also members of our group, the book club, you can ask them below and we'll be looking at them periodically. If you see us looking down, of course, we have notes and we're looking at the live chat with your questions. So just know that we are watching you. So we'll get your questions in as much as we can. All right. Okay. All right. So let's get started. All right. So who actually owns a copy of The Seventh Child? Just
Yes.
you can
Have one.
yeah, you can say that in the chat. It's a beautiful book. The cover itself is just breathtaking. That was the first thing that caught my eye. And you see the artwork in here, and you can see it in Siren's screen there in her background. So let's get started. So, okay, Siren and Brenda, I think we want to start this conversation off by telling you both what your art and what your words have meant to all three of us, just to kick things off. And I'll let Tammy start this.
Okay. Well, firstly, I just want to say the storybook of The Seventh Child is magical and beautiful, and it really resonates with the reader in terms of, it sends Michael's a message to the world about oneness and to view your life with awe and wonder. And it's just such a beautiful story that I've read so many times. So, and the artwork in there is just magic. And I was like so drawn to the book and the artwork and Simon's artwork and the words, and just both together are a team of magic. You really are. So what I did, I just want to tell this little story just to start this whole thing off, is that I had contacted Siren and I ordered 4 copies of her artwork. I'll just show you them right here quickly so you can see what I bought. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see that?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so that's the art pieces I bought from Siren just about 3 weeks ago. And I was very excited to get them. And so I opened up the package and she had, so what I did though is I thought, how magical would it be? So my 2 partners here in the book club, Stephanie and Jeanette are different parts of the world. And I thought, how cute would it be to just get a print for them that I could send to them from me, right? Just as a little present. And to sort of share the magic. So I got those about 3 weeks ago, I think. And so Jeanette's in UK and Stephanie is in US. So I put them in the mail 2 weeks ago. No, I got them 2 weeks ago, probably 2 weeks plus 3 days or something like that. Sorry, I'm out of breath from running over there. Man. So anyway, so the story is this. So I picked a picture I thought Stephanie would really love and it would resonate with her. And then same for Jeanette. I just, it's hard to pick artwork. But So the postage said that from Canada, it would take up to 21 days for Jeanette's and 6 to 7 days for Steph's. And so Jeanette yesterday received her artwork. So a week early, right?
Yes.
Okay, Air.
So blessed. It's beautiful. Thank you so much.
So I'm gonna like, then they can explain what it meant. So then that's what happened yesterday. So I'm like telling Stephanie, I'm like, I was kind of worried, like, is it gonna show up? So I said, Stephanie, check your mail. And so she didn't yesterday, but then finally today, because we were supposed to have you girls on about a week ago, right? Or something like that. And it was postponed to this week. So I was like, oh good, because maybe they'll have their pieces by then. And then so Stephanie today, like an hour before, I'm like, go check your mail. So she got her print the same day as, like, how magical is that? That's like Michael magic. It's like, how is that possible? Jeanette got hers a week early and she got hers a week late. So they got them the same day. That's crazy. Like, how crazy is that? like, this is Michael magic. It really is. So anyway, that's my story. I love my pieces. They're majestic, Michael. I love them. They go with my office. So that's my story. So anyway, you girls, I don't know, you just got yours yesterday and you got,
oh yeah.
You got yours.
Oh yeah. It was the perfect way to kick off this discussion, that Michael magic. And I'll say the way that I found Seventh Child, you know, I had watched Ellen Leaving Neverland later in the year. I didn't watch it when it came out. And of course, I was like completely shattered after watching that. And I was like, I don't know, I was like searching. I was searching for validation for being a fan. I was looking for positive things and positive content. I was trying to create positive content. And I was so sad. I was disappointed. I was actually kind of traumatized from that film. And somehow I stumbled on your book, Brenda, Ever After. And I was like, there are children's books and storybooks about Michael. This is amazing. I didn't even know that these things existed. And then from Ever After, I found Seventh Child. And I read like all of the descriptions and the comments on Amazon. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know this fandom celebrated Michael in this way. I didn't even know people had such deep connections to him and his work and his artistry and his life. And I felt reassured. You know, after LN, I felt good that things like this existed. And so I bought it and I read it and I was just blown away. And it just affirmed everything that I believed about him and his life. So thank you both.
Oh, thank you, that's beautiful.
And for me, the way I discovered Seventh Child was something similar to Steph. So after leaving Neverland, you know, that horrible feeling, because you want to share Michael with your family. And I have a 5-year-old and I have a 3-year-old. And, you know, Michael comes up in conversation all the time. But when Leaving Neverland came out, it was like, it's something Taj Jackson articulated really well when he talked about his daughter, and he didn't want his daughter to grow up in a world where Michael Jackson was seen as this horrible monster, and he had to fight for that for his daughter. And obviously, you know, family is a different thing, but even for me, I could feel that when I talked to my daughter about him. I didn't want for her to innocently and joyfully mention Michael in conversation in public in her life, and for her to be ridiculed because of that, because she knows the truth. So I went looking for children's books about Michael, and I found Seventh Child, and I bought it for that purpose so that I could share it with her. And it's that affirmation that that Steph mentioned is exactly how I found your work too. So thank you for that. That's important to us at the most intimate level with our own children. It's really important to the fan community.
That absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so with all that being said, we just wanted to show you both how appreciative we are of your work and your art. But we can move into the questions now. So
I just say thank you for that, because I don't know. We just don't. I don't hear that. We just don't hear that kind of thing of if it's anybody's even reading it or found it or if it has any effect. That's not why you do it, but to hear something like this is just like it. Just I could die tomorrow and I'll be fine. Really.
Oh, wow.
Children's books is that they aren't just for children. Children's books are for the child in all of us, which is what Michael, like I was surprised when that there wasn't more. Like I was thinking, obviously children's books are what he would want. I want this for him. He's gonna want children's books to share his message with them. They're the ones that need to find it out when they're young, and not now that he's gone, he needs to still be around for them. So that was what I thought. I better hurry because there's going to be so many. But there wasn't. I don't know. That was a surprise to me.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, since we're, I guess we'll focus on the project that you both did together first, The Seventh Child. And the title itself really draws you in. And I wanted to know what the significance was of choosing this as a title. We know number 7 was a number that was important to Michael, but could you just go into that a little bit more?
Do you want to do it, Siren? You want me to go?
No, you go. You wrote it first, so you go.
Okay, well, I just had the little story that I had written was only like about a page long when I first started. I don't know if you know that it's based on Magical Child. Like it's from Magical Child in Dancing the Dream. And when I read Magical Child, it just is so obviously Michael's life and how he was treated and who he really was and how he invites us all to join him in his dance, like come and join him and find the child that's hiding in you. So I just felt it was such a beautiful opportunity to do a story. It just inspired me. So I had this little page that I wrote and Siren really loved it, but I did it. I'm just going to talk for like an hour, so you better stop me. The name came like not even close to the beginning of the book. So it just happened to be the 7th child was born and he had no name or anything. So I just called him the 7th child. He was a 7th child because Michael was a 7th child. So I just picked that. But when I read that, those words just like jumped out at me. Like I just kind of knew it was the title, but I was like, that's not a good name. I didn't really think it was very good. And so he just mentioned to me, like, I just said, I think that might be the title. She said, oh, really? I thought it was too, but I didn't want to say anything. So it just was chosen for us, I guess.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
But it was written out with like the 7th written as a word. It wasn't the number 7. And that came later, just, like you guys were talking about Michael magic. These things just happen. And then okay, it has to be a number 7, which is very weird in a title and it looks kind of funny. But it doesn't matter. Like, it in your heart, you have to just go with it. So.
We love, we know through books like Dressing the King that, he 7th is perfect for that because he would put hidden, number 7 would be on his outfit sometimes. And it was like a message out there, right? And I don't know, like one thing that Michael studied the Bible. And I this came to my attention recently because I have some people in my family that have degrees in theology. And I said that 7 is like his number. That's his thing, and he's the 7th child. And then they said, well, that in the Bible, 7 is a significant number. And I didn't know that. I don't know if you girls did or not. Did you?
I did, yeah. But I don't remember.
Okay, so this is what it means. It says, when it comes to the biblical meanings of number 7, we have to say that it is a number of perfection and completeness. The first time when number 7 was used in the Bible was in the Genesis 1, in which number 7 was used to determine the week of creation. According to Bible, number 7 is a number of completeness. It appears in scripture over 700 times. I was like, whoa. Anyway, sorry, just wanted to, number 7 is very important for him. book's perfect.
I definitely had that in mind, Tammy. I was thinking about that too. I always think of the 777 that he wore on his arm, and that doesn't, the whole thing with the Bible and how that ties in, that doesn't surprise me at all. Sounds just like him. All right. We'll move on to the next question then. How did you both meet?
Okay, this time you talk.
I bought Ever After, and I had a friend. It was early after Michael had passed away, and my initial reaction when Michael left was to collect everything I could of him, every book I could find, every collectible, everything. And I had a friend who I met. I bought something from her on eBay, and she was crazier than me in collecting Michael. And one day she sent me an email and said, "Have you seen this book? Do you know anything about it?" And it was Brenda's storybook, Ever After. And I fell in love with the cover. I didn't know anything about it. It just was so Michael. It was so magical, and it felt like Neverland. It felt like him. And so I immediately bought it without knowing anything about it. And the book wasn't available on Amazon. It was, you had to buy directly from Brenda. So she saw my name and my address when she went to mail the book out, and she realized that we lived only half an hour from one another. So she wrote and she said, "Do you want to meet for coffee?" Which is, if you know Brenda, is like way out of her comfort zone. So kind of mine too. So we picked a place and we met for coffee, and the rest is history. So.
Goodness. That is so exciting. I mean, we can, Jeanette, Tammy, feel free. We can just rotate. We have a list of questions, and we have a couple here coming in through the chat. Feel free to rotate, Tammy and Jeanette. We can get through these, because I think there's a lot that we want to know about both of you.
Yeah, so Tammy, you want to go?
Oh. No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, so you were new friends, and then how did you come up with the idea of collaborating on Seventh Child?
Well, it seems like a pretty huge coincidence for a writer and an artist who both are crazy about Michael.
Yeah.
One's writing books about Michael and one's painting pictures about Michael. It seemed like inevitable. Like it seemed like this was our purpose for meeting. And so we had that in mind right from square one. And Brenda, when we met, she was already working on Forever Loved. So that project she worked on with Kathy Guerin, and so that was underway already. But we talked about it, and so the next project that came along, the next book that came along was Smile Effect. And so we just made the assumption that that was the project we were gonna do together, and we literally tried to force it to happen, and it just was not working. It was not, I'm not an illustrator, first of all. Not to put myself in a box when I say I'm not an illustrator, but I feel that illustrating is a huge gift, and I admire people who can take somebody else's imagination and create it, and see that and be able to do that. And I'd love to be able to do that, but that's not how my art works for me. And so I don't very often do commissions or anything like that, because I can't do that. What I need is for somebody to kind of throw out a really vague outline, and then it just shows up. And so you know, there's a story with smile effect. It's very illustrated, and we tried to do that, and it was really, really hard for both of us. And finally one day I couldn't take it anymore, and I had to tell her that I couldn't do it. And it took me a long time to tell her, because I didn't want to let her down, but I just had to be, you know, true to my heart. And so it was kind of crushing for both of us, because we thought that that's what we were going to do together. And when that happened, it was kind of like I guess it's not what we're going to do together. And so she found a different illustrator, and that worked out great. And so while that book was being created, she had the idea for the seventh child that came to her. And at that time, it was just basically it was a very, very vague outline, and she just said it's a storybook written about Michael's poem Magical Child. And when she said that, I just felt this rush of go through me, and like through all my cells, and
Wow.
And I felt that book, and I could see pictures of it in my head. It like was coming just before I even knew what the story was about. And again, I didn't say anything because I didn't want to let her down again. And so she went, and she was dealing with another illustrator, just really early stages. They were talking about the story, and she had just sent it to the illustrator, and so they had discussed the artwork. And I finally couldn't hold it in anymore, and I said, if she doesn't want to do the book, I'll do it. Wow. And so, and that was it. That was when we both knew that this was the one. So, because the artwork in this one it's not an illustrated book. I mean, if you look at it, you see that the pictures don't match the story. And so basically what it was each of us taking Magical Child and interpreting it, and then laying our interpretations side by side. So as Brenda was writing the story, at the same time I was painting it. And so sometimes I would read something that she'd written, and it would inspire something to change in a painting, or it would give me an idea for the next painting. And sometimes I would paint something, and it would inspire Brenda to write it. And so there's hints of each of our journeys in one another's. So they kind of mesh together, but they're also very unique in themselves. So they're a story each in themselves.
Oh my.
So they're beautiful, they're stunning. So so you just created your artwork while she's writing, and it's like, wow. It's like it is that was just created in the heavens, like how it's stunning. The book, the story, the pictures. It's just, it's a work of art. It really is.
Work because it's hard. Like I always wanted to have that, like a real collaboration without me saying this is what I need, or this is the story, it's finished, and this is what I see the pictures as. Like I mean, that's beautiful, that's great, but I dreamed of creating them both at the same time, creating them both together. And so it was, our lives were being lived, and we mainly talk by text and on Facebook, because we don't live that close. We don't see each other that often. We both have lives that are busy. So we did it all that way, with constant texting, and it was just so pure that way. You know, I wasn't paying her. It was just so creative. It was just, and Michael was there. He was involved, and he was, you know, putting in his, like the name, like the title and that kind of thing. So it was the most alive. It's just I just love that feeling. You just want it to never end.
Oh.
It really came alive in our lives. Like the book physically happened in our lives. It was insane.
Like it manifested through yourself, your creativity, and Matt and Michael. Oh.
Like we were living what was happening, you know. The paintings that I was painting were like coming alive. Like the one with the snake, I really had a problem with that one when I saw the concept of it in my heart. and it seemed a little biblical, and the snake in the biblical story is not a nice character, and I didn't, I really struggled with it, and but there was just no way that I was gonna change the direction of it, because snakes were everywhere. Like the most extreme one was Brenda got up in the morning while I was complaining about how I didn't want to paint this snake. And she got up in the morning, she went out into her dining room, and her computer was sitting on the table. And on the table was this box of wooden snakes, like they're made of wood and they kind of bend, and you're supposed to paint them. Kids are supposed to paint them.
Oh, yeah.
And so she was just like, okay, so there's a box of snakes on my computer today. So it was like really obvious, really crazy thing. So it wasn't just one thing like that. There would be snakes everywhere, like that obvious, like really.
You know what's interesting about snakes, and I have a fun little fact like Tammy did earlier about the Bible. I know in Western religion and theology and mythology, yeah, there is like a stigma around snakes. But if you look at Eastern cultures, the snake is actually pretty revered. Like I know like in Chinese astrology, there's like, the snake is one of the years, and I'm actually born in the year of the snake. And I was like, oh my gosh, the year of the snake. But when I read into it, snakes represent wisdom and beauty and all of these other positive traits. And so I wonder, it's always interesting to take another perspective. Who knows?
Yes, exactly. That's what I learned about the snake. He wasn't the one that I expected. So I love it. I love the snake now.
Oh yeah.
He's very colorful, hey? Like like beautiful. Pink and the butterflies and the doves, like wow. Oh, and the crown. I'm just actually looking. I didn't really notice this. Yeah. Oh, and the notes, beautiful. Sunflower, got it all.
And the earth on there, the rainbows, there's so much. There's really look like when you guys buy this book, really look at the art and really read the words. Seriously, there's so much. I've read it a couple times now, and I always find something new visually, and I always read it and I have a new interpretation every time. And I keep revisiting it, and there's something new every time. So really take a deep look and read it carefully. But so Siren, I'm so glad that you went into detail about the process and the collaboration and the back and forth. We're going to ask you some more detailed questions about your process with your art in a little bit. But I just wanted to get into the actual content of the book. What is inside of this book? There are some major themes around oneness and separation, and I think that's one of the main themes of the book. And for those of you in the chat that haven't read it yet, Brenda and Siren, could you just give us a description of the overall themes of this book and what you guys were trying to convey with the message?
Well, the message is Michael's message, which is also in Magical Child. Someone who comes here to the world with a pure heart and keeps that pure heart and that desire to give and love, and no matter what happens to him, he doesn't change. And that's what Michael did in his life. That's what happens in the seventh child. And that is what his message is, like, follow your heart, be true to yourself. And the way to get there is through children. The way to get there is because you have that when you're a child. Everybody knows it. And then you lose it when you start conforming and you start trying to fit in. Michael never tried to fit in. And the people who try to fit in, they aren't the ones changing the world. The ones who change are the ones who follow their heart. So all of my books are about following your heart. And that's what I feel like he is asking all of us to do. So like he says in Magical Child, he says, find that child. If you could for one moment know this spark of creation, this exquisite glow, you would come and dance with me, kindle this fire so we could see all the children of the earth weave their magic and give new birth to a world of freedom with no pain, a world of joy, much more sane. Deep inside, you know it's true. Just find that child, it's hiding in you. So he, you know, he was a huge example for us. And I mean, we aren't going to be Michael Jackson. We're going to be us. Mm-hmm. He's always asked us to be us. So that's basically the story. And then it's a, you know, a magical land of perfection. And when everyone is doing their part and everyone is following their heart and being what they're here to do and be, then it can be that magical land always.
It reminds me a lot of the message in Smile Effect, because I just finished reading Smile Effect, and it really was emotional for me because I started becoming a Michael Jackson fan when I was 14, and we've all been 14, and it's quite tricky, you know, kind of navigating high school and all of that adolescent stuff. And Wiley, the protagonist in Smile Effect, is going through a similar thing, you know, as a young lad, and Michael's there walking by his side, telling him, you know, just smile, be yourself, be brave. And Michael's there by his side, and all that stuff you just said reminded me again of kind of having the courage to be yourself through those tricky times in life, and if you do that, then, you know, we can really heal the world. So I just wanted to say that really reminded me of my adolescence, and me and my brother, you know, we really struggled being Michael Jackson fans, you know, like History was out and it was really popular, and Earth Song was #1 in the UK, and You Are Not Alone was #1, and Scream would be #4, and he had like maybe 10 back-to-back top 5 singles, you know, over a matter of a year or two. And then there was the tour, and it was huge, and it was all around, and loads of the kids in school had the albums, and they were in the fan pop magazines, and it was all big. But you still had to stand out and be different and be true to your heart and say, no, this guy who made this Earth Song video is speaking the truth, and he's standing above all of the other kind of pop music and the indie music that was out and the grunge music, and he's got a message, and we don't care, we're going to listen to this, and it's the truth. So it really reminded me of being 14 when I was reading Smile Effect. So thank you for that.
Wow.
So you believe that he's a messenger of some, like he had a lot of messages in his art and his music, and so with your books, even I know Siren also has some books that maybe she'll want to talk about too, but you both have, it's always like a theme of a message to the world that through Michael, like in his words, and like your words, of course, you wrote it, but he's the inspiration. So it really is like these books are so, there's nothing like them, like really compared, like your book, again, I haven't read the Smile Effect yet, and I've read Siren's books. But they're all just deep messages, and they're just so soulful, and it just fills your heart, really does. Like they affect me, like they do when I read them. Like it's not just fluff, it's beautiful. It really is. So how did you learn to convey that? How did that even happen? How did you start that?
I didn't know Michael until he was gone. So for me, he's always been, I missed his whole life, which was a huge regret. And he came and just like opened my heart. And I had always wanted to be a writer, but I hadn't ever written. And when I saw that he was, the sun is getting on my eyes. When he was gone, I saw that he was the same age as me. I saw Paris speaking her little speech at the memorial on a recap, and I don't know how to get rid of this. And something happened to me. I realized how much he had done in his life, even though I really didn't know much about it yet. And I realized I hadn't done what I was here to do. So from then on, I just had to learn everything I could about him, and I wanted to write. So because I had been studying him for 6 months, I ended up writing Ever After, which was for children, because his 2 children are the same age as my youngest.
Oh. Oh,
Really, for me, very heartbreaking to imagine being separated from her, being gone. So I wanted it to, for them, I guess, and for his mother, and I don't know. But the writing part and what it is, I had no idea until I just was following my heart and
Within 6 months, that's amazing though. Like he gave you that, or I'm not saying
amazing.
call him, but you know, like that inspiration to do within 6 months. Like that's amazing.
I'm a very quiet and shy and introverted person. So I just wanted to write. I just wrote this little story. I looked up publishers. I was so furious. I just had to do it. I joined Facebook.
Oh,
And I thought I was alone. I didn't know anyone else who cared about Michael. I thought I had lost my mind or I didn't know what happened to me.
Yeah.
But I cared because I loved it so much. I felt so alive. I just felt like this was important and I don't want to die without having done something. So yeah, I joined Facebook. Grace Waramba was my very first friend. I sent her.
Wow.
I thought maybe I could send the book to her and find out how to give it to the kids or whatever. So I just found a publisher and self-published. I ordered books. They came in a big pallet in my garage, and like I was so brave.
Wow.
I didn't know anything about Facebook or people, and I discovered there was other people like me everywhere who had Michael had come to them at the same time, like Siren, like there are people everywhere around the world. So I realized this is something way bigger than just me having him for my friend. It was way bigger than that. And I just exploring what is really going on.
Wow. And Siren, you too, you have these beautiful stories and your artwork. And how did that come about? When did that start? Did that start around the same time or?
when did you become a fan too? Or how did that all come together, right?
Yeah, it was the same time. I had Michael's music from the time I was 13. You know, Thriller came out and everybody had it. But I loved his music. I had all his albums always. But I had a lot of people's albums. So I wasn't fixated on him. I didn't know anything about him personally. I remember the allegations in '93. And I remember I had a heart reaction to that. Like it was the only one I think I ever had until after he passed away, where I knew something and I didn't have any reason to know it. But I didn't follow the trial. I didn't, I just shut it out because it offended me. Spiritually, I want to say, but I didn't know what it was at the time. So in 2009, I went and saw the movie This Is It in the theater. And to use Brenda's words, something happened to me in the theater. Something happened to me spiritually that I didn't recognize. So I had no history with it, so I couldn't understand what it was. But I just remember looking around the theater and wondering if it was happening to anybody else. But they were just watching it like a normal movie, and something was happening inside of me. And I went home and I couldn't stop trying to find out what I missed. And I think I thought that eventually I would find out that he was just like everybody else. But the more I looked, the closer I looked, the more and more and more and more I realized he was not. And how important that was. I wanted to know what it was about, and I wanted to know what I was supposed to do with it. And so that was the moment that changed my life. And then once you know something, you can't unknow it. And so then everything ahead of you then changes. So it changed everything. It changed everything in my life, and nothing, I was happy. I live in the same home. I have had the same job, same husband, same friends. It just, I was living differently. I felt differently about my life. And that came simply from Michael existing. So
that's so interesting. So many of us have similar stories, or, you know, there are definitely people that have been lifelong fans, lifelong super fans. For me, and I've shared this with you, Siren and Brenda, I was just a fan by default. I grew up with Michael's music, but I didn't become a super hardcore fan and follower until like the past year. I was always a big fan, but I've been doing really deep research into who he is. And for me, your moment was watching This Is It. I personally haven't watched it. Everyone in the chat, I haven't watched This Is It. I don't think I can. But my moment was watching Leaving Neverland, and all of the research I did after that to learn more about his life and to finally get the facts straight of his life. That's when I had my explosion of inspiration. Something in my mind, heart just snapped, or a switch went on. And it's been different ever since. And it's hard to explain, but people in the community seem to understand that because it's been happening pretty widely, I think. So thank you for that story.
Yeah, it's amazing how, you know, when I was thinking back, you know, everybody's affected differently, and they may have, you know, grown up with the music in terms of their families or whatever. So I've been a fan since 1982. So I was 8 or 9 years old, whatever. And I had no music references, and because my parents were really old. So they had like accordion and like piano. They were old. Like, they'd be in their 90s right now. They're very old. I had nothing cool in my life at all. Like I played the accordion, a technique organ. Like, I used for organ lessons, green grass at home. Like that's the stuff like in my house. So I had nothing. So I go to my brother, who's old enough to be my dad. They're like 20 some years older than I am. They were married before I was born. So I'm just like a huge accident. So anyway, I go to my brother's. He had a radio. Like, we didn't have a radio in our house with like cool music, right? So Say came on, and that's the song that hooked me. Like, Michael Jackson, 8-year-old little girl, you know, and that when he jumps in with say, that's all of a sudden I became obsessed with that sound and his voice and whatever. Then I learned, then Thriller was released 1982, whatever, got it for Christmas. Huge fan. I'm like 9 years old or whatever at the time. And yeah, but then, you know, then I became a teenager, and then I want to be a little bit more heavy, like hard rock kind of cool, you know. So I wasn't as obsessed with him when I was a teenager, but yeah, so he passed away, and that affected me big time. And I went to the theater to see This Is It too, so that was hard. But you know, I've lost a lot. Like, my parents are gone, and I've had loss already, so I kind of was like really sad, and I thought he's in a better place now, and I just kind of let it go. Like, really, there's, you know, I still followed him, but not to the extent until Leaving Neverland, right? Till then it's like, kind of like, because I was a paralegal for years too, and I'm into true crime. So I was like, that just doesn't sound like him. And I just didn't, you know, and then you start investigating, and then you're just like, wow. And then here we are at the book club. 3 of us, we started a little book club, and because we're obsessed, and we, you know, I've always read about him and whatever, but now it's a little bit over the top now, but whatever. We all have our effects from him. Yeah. But I don't know how to paint or write, or that's not going to happen to me.
It's funny how that horrible event actually, you know, he can use anything to bring people.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, people are saying that they weren't even fans first. I'm like, I was a fan my whole life, and yeah, and I had all that stuff, but it's just, I just felt like he's gone. Like, you know, I don't go to he's gone now. Like, what do? You know, you listen to his music, you read about him, but yeah, he's pretty amazing. So thank you for sharing your stories with the world, because now other people can see that, you know. And
yeah, and it's like you said, Brenda, even something so horrible as that could reawaken and force us to open our eyes and develop discernment and all of these different things. And I think there are some new fans that came because of that film. I think so. That's what I've been hearing anyway. So, okay. You guys have these books, you do these paintings, Siren. Your art is phenomenal, it's beautiful. Brenda, you have a collection of books. we all know that there's a stigma attached to being a Michael Jackson fan. It's hard. Jeanette, you described it when you talked about you and your brothers and, you know, the teasing that you faced. I faced it too. How do you think this affects how people see your book and your art? Because for me, Michael's kind of like a lifestyle. Maybe that's extreme to say, but I just, it's hard for me. And when you guys put yourselves out there with your art and your words, that's a very vulnerable position to put yourself in. And even the fact that you guys are here talking to us live is very vulnerable to talk about your art, something that came from your heart. And how do you guys deal with that?
Well, I haven't really had any direct negative attacks on me or on Michael.
Good.
Like because it changed, because he made me so happy. My family, my children, they don't get it, but they are totally supportive because they love me and they trust my judgment. They know that I'm not a pop music fan. I was never, it's obviously something important to me and more than that. So as far as my husband is a different story, but anyways, leaving Neverland changed things in they know that I'm not a pop music fan. I was never, it's obviously something important to me and more than that. So as far as my husband is a different story, but anyways, leaving Neverland changed things in they know that I'm not a pop music fan. I was never, it's obviously something.
What is going on there?
I don't know what happened there.
That was on repeat.
That is so strange. Okay, I was hearing echoes before, but anyway, that's what happens when you're live. Unexpected things happen, but we'll just go with it. Okay, was that everything you wanted to say, Brenda? I'm not sure if that cut you off, that weird echo.
Writing children's books about Michael, like I didn't realize there would be a problem with that because I didn't know him. I didn't know the history of all of that. Like to me, I always saw him as innocent and obviously, you know, it was just so obvious to me that I thought it was to everyone. And so that's why there wasn't a lot of children's books, I guess, you know, people thought maybe they shouldn't be doing it, but I had no idea. It was after it was published and out there, was only one time that I had someone say, "You wrote a children's book about Michael Jackson," and she kind of smirked. And then I understood what she was saying, and I was shocked. I was just, maybe I'm just naive, I don't know, but I didn't know. But now I don't care. Now I know him. I know what he felt about children and why they're important and how we all need to be looking and finding the wonder and awe in the world.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Yeah, that reminds me, you know, when we were growing up, Michael Jackson, you know, the kind of commercial side, he was a kid's product, you know, Moonwalker. And, you know, I told Steph and Tammy before, you know, when it was a Christmas treat at school and it was raining outside, the teacher would go down the video store and they'd get Moonwalker or the Goonies for us, and we'd have to vote. So Michael was always a kid-friendly thing, and I remember, you know, part of being a fan in the 90s and the 2000s was about holding on to that post 1993. And always saying, of course, Michael is for kids, of course. And it was only after leaving Neverland, and this is what really kind of triggered me in terms of my kids, was we were at a play date, and my little girl did some Thriller thing, and another parent scoffed and said, "Oh, yeah, Michael Jackson." And it really scared me to think, hang on, the narrative is changing. It's now not okay. You're being judged as a parent for allowing your child to see Michael's art, which is fun. Michael's art is fun. It's childlike. It's beautiful. It's playful. It's magical. I'm going to fight for this. So yeah, that, you know, that's the same thing. But we've always had Michael as part of our childhood, and we have to fight for that.
Siren, how did you start with your painting? Like, did you just start painting in 2009, or did you always paint, or how did that work?
No, I always would sketch animals, and people told me I was good at it, and but I never had my soul wasn't in it. I wasn't inspired. I would do it because people would expect me to do it, and certainly I was not a portrait artist. I was really, really terrible at portraits. But when Michael passed away, it awoke that creativity in me again. I hadn't drawn anything since I was in high school, and it just because it kind of became one of those things that was a chore for me, something that I kind of was expected to do and didn't enjoy, and never really liked it. Never really thought my art was very good anyway, so it just wasn't something that I liked doing. But then, like I say, when Michael passed away, it kind of, Michael has this way of lighting your creativity and inspiring you, and so that part of me came to life, and now my soul was in it. So I loved it, but I was still not a portrait artist. So I tried to draw Michael maybe 3 or 4 times, and I gave up. And I think that was in 2010. And then a year later, it just wouldn't go away. It just wouldn't leave me alone. And I remember something Michael said about getting out of the way of the music. And I thought, I wonder if I did that. And so I just kind of thought, well, I'm only drawing for me. And so I thought, well, who cares what it looks like? I just want the feeling. I just want to get out of the way of needing it to be something, and just draw him and see how that feels. And that was the first time I think I actually understood what art was. So then I felt it, and after that I couldn't stop. And I think I drew pictures of Michael almost every day for a year, with maybe a couple days off here and there. But and then after the year was done, I started painting, and I had never painted before, so I didn't have a clue where to start. So and I'm really insecure about my art, and I didn't really want to go learn how, but I found out there was an art class in my town, and so I signed up for that, and I took 4 art classes with a group, and I just wanted to learn the basics, how you build a painting, where you start, all the steps. And that's where I painted my first picture of Michael. And then after that, I didn't take any more classes, and the rest I was just listening to the music and learning as I went. So.
Oh, I'm so inspired. I'm so inspired right now, because what both you and Brenda have been saying, it reminds me of a quote. You know, it says, you know, don't die with your music still inside of you. And you can kind of hear that and take it for granted and sort of brush it under the rug, but it's so true. Like, if you don't put your art out there, you're depriving the world of what you have to offer. And it's something that I don't take lightly anymore, because what if you guys hadn't written this book? It would have been that much harder for me personally to get through the trauma of last year. What if Michael never wrote a song? You know, how much less rich would we be culturally and artistically without that? And so I'm glad both of you listened to your hearts and did what needed to be done, because we're all better for it.
Well, that's important, because as children, that there's something that we all had that was unique in us as children. You know, we had something that we loved so much, and you kind of get steered away from it when you get older, because usually the things that children dream about don't fit into society in the way that they need to. You know, they're not something that we take seriously. So, you know, if you're an artist, you really do get discouraged from it because there's no money in art, or there's no money in what are the chances of ever becoming an actor, or what are the chances of being a successful musician, or, you know, so those artistic things are kind of stifled in us, or, you know, definitely not, they aren't brought out in us enough as they should be. So, you know, and that's what Michael is saying, you know, remember, that's why when you go back to who you were as a child, you remember your soul, you know, you remember what you're here for. And so when you know that, then you almost have an urgency to get it out of you. So I think that's what Michael does for us.
It really does give you the ability to connect to your child. Like, seriously, I ordered a Cabbage Patch doll 2 weeks ago because I always wanted one, and my old parents, I must say, God bless their soul, I had a teddy bear. They didn't want me to have one because they thought that they were teasing mongoloid children. And so I wasn't allowed to have one. So through this, Michael, I'm just like, I've been buying children's books forever, but still I'm just like, I'm buying that doll, you know? I want a Cabbage Patch girl and I'm gonna buy one. So I did. And that was like my little, my connecting to my, you know, my Thriller days, and having the birthday parties, Michael Jackson themed, when I was in, you know, 9 and 10. And, you know, it's just, he does really give you that magic to connect to your child, to your inner child again.
Yes.
Beautiful.
So his whole life was a demonstration for us of exactly that, like how to, like escapism. He would talk about escapism for adults, his entertaining them for escapism. Well, that would be for them to be able to just reconnect, to like forget about their life for a minute, just forget about it, and maybe then there's a chance to connect to who they really are. So everything that he did is about that. Neverland was all that for children, but also for the adults. Like I think he thinks children as all of us. All of us are children.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so important. Like if the maestro in the Seventh Child just listened and conformed to what they wanted, there would be no awakening of the world. Like that's for me, it's the basic for healing the world. And he knew it. Healing the world is not just something he said. He really believed it because it's really possible. It really is true.
He does affect people. Like there's so many references of people have felt like when they're in his presence, or this, it's got this otherworldly, really does, like I don't know, I've never met him or been anywhere near him, but from what people say, it seems that he does affect you, you know, in a different way. And he affects all of us. He's been gone for a long time and we're still talking about him, or, you know, or either because of his death or because of leaving Neverland, or that sparked, you know, you found interest to dig again, you know, even though we all know he's innocent. But I wasn't sure, like, honestly, when I did watch it, and I kind of was like, you know, because that was disappointing, and it broke my heart. I was like sick about it for a week for sure, but then I'm like, nah, that does not sound right, you know. And so yeah, gives you a passion to really, and to defend him, and to whatever. It's like a true crime story for me. It really is. It's like, this is just not right. And I had my I duked it out in a lounge, or I was with about 5 litigators, and I'm in the lunchroom, and I'm like up against these 5 litigators about this thing, and I was so upset, and they're just like, whoa, you know, because you're trying to put out the truth. So your stories of him, and just your artwork, and just everything about it is so beautiful and raw, and it's just, thank God for this, that you're providing magic to the world right now, really.
Yeah, and you know what? I hope that this book and others like it that talk about Michael in this way start to. I hope that there are more books like this, because there's a question I wanted to ask both of you. I think the way that you describe Michael in this book, he almost comes across as like a prophet or a messenger, you know, someone that's really special and stands apart from, you know, the rest of everyone who conforms. And I wonder, do you think Michael will ever be seen for what he truly contributed to our culture and our world. I'll read a quote really quick. There's a book, there's a German book, and some of you in the book club have told me that you read it. It's called Message and Fate of a Spiritual Revolutionary. And when I saw the title of that book, I was like, wow, there are people out there that are really starting to think of Michael in this way that hasn't really been put out there before. And so here's a quote. Michael Jackson, he transcended race, gender, age, and human limitations. He chose to be himself no matter the consequences, which is a theme of your book. If he were recognized for his real accomplishments, we would see an unappreciated visionary and genius, a spiritual teacher among us who has been hiding in plain sight. Do you both think that somewhere down the line that Michael will be seen in this light? Because it's one thing for his legacy to be restored, for people to see him, the allegations gone, his music is back on top, but it's another thing to see him as someone who was enlightened. You kind of see what I'm saying? Do you guys ever think that he'll ever be viewed in that light? Because that's something that I think is missing in his entire narrative of his life and who he was.
He already is seen that way. That's what my art's about. That's what Brenda's books are about. I've encountered so many people since 2009 who see him that way. And I think sometimes what we do is discount the fan base because that's what the media does. And so when we say, I wonder if the world, well, we are also the world, and we're a huge population. And so we count because we know the truth. We are living the spiritual experience, and we are the ones that are speaking out. So I think it's already happened. I think it happened, throughout Michael's life, and I think ultimately it was a phenomenon that happened at the point of his passing. And that is extremely powerful, and that's one thing that doesn't get smaller. And every time Michael comes up, as painful as it can be in some circumstances, those are opportunities for others to look closer at him. Steph, like you said, and Tammy also. So, and I know other people who saw that movie and had the same reaction. So it's not just that. I hope somebody sees one of my paintings somewhere and says, why would she paint Michael Jackson with a halo, and then go and find out why. So I think as long as we're expressing ourselves, we're using our soul work and putting it out there, those are opportunities for somebody to stumble across and start to think. The thing about Michael is he didn't want people to not think, to be told something and believe it. What he wanted to do was inspire people to look in their own hearts and engage their own minds. And those are the people that have staying power. The people that listen to a story on the news and say, oh, that sounds right. The lazy kind of attitude where somebody else is going to inform me and I can just make a decision, that doesn't have staying power. And those people, they don't care enough to carry that forward. We care enough to carry him forward. So I feel ultimately it's already happened. It's already happening. I think it'll continue to happen.
What happens with Michael is that, like Siren said, he asks us to think for ourselves, think for yourself and make up your own mind. And when you do that, like we did, all the people in 2009 were totally alone. By the time I found out there were other people like me, nothing could push me off what I knew. Because I knew it from the inside out. I wasn't told it by someone else. And that's the people who are never going to leave him, because it's from inside and you know it for sure. Like, you know it for sure. So that can't be, that only grows, that only gets bigger. And every opportunity that comes up, good or bad, about him, like it's a shame that we have to do this to him. We don't have to, but we do. And it's not his fault, it's our fault. He didn't do anything wrong. We treated him wrong. We crucified him. Totally innocent person, crucified him in multiple ways. And we cannot look at him and say he should have done anything different, because if he did, he would be the conforming person who didn't change the world. He stuck to what he knew, what was true. He stuck to what he believed in us enough to stick with it and stick with us. And so that's why for me, when I found that out, my life is devoted to him. That's it.
Wow, profound.
Thing that's ever happened to me. It's the most amazing thing that could ever happen. It gives my life meaning and purpose, and I am so happy and grateful. And there's not many people around me. I'm so grateful for Siren in my life, because without her I'd be not nearly as brave. But it's just, there's nothing that can stop me. And so with people like that, if all of us are like that, who care enough and know the truth, you know, worldwide, he's not, there's always going to be that attached to him, maybe, I don't know, but it's each individual heart that he's changing. He looks at us as individuals, like the majority or whatever. It's each of us is important and precious and part of the oneness.
And the beautiful thing about it is whether you use the word prophet or messenger, it really doesn't matter. If he was just this human being who was doing his best at living from his heart, and it's enough to have inspired a globe of people to also do the same. So that it really doesn't matter how you define him. You don't need to see him any other way as just following his heart. You know, when you do that, it inspires other people. He has a global platform, and that makes his influence, you know, far-reaching. So that's the great thing, is that you don't have to accept any philosophy. You just can witness a person doing incredible things and have it change your life.
This is such a great magic. To me, this is all magic. It really is, all of it. It's just your work connected to me and to these two girls across the world from us, and whoever else out there has bought your book and seen the art, and he's connecting us all that way. It's really truly from his magic. I find always, you just see things, you hear stories like this all the time, and these are the ones we want to share, you know, like how there's connectedness, like with us and with the fan group, and how we meet and whatever. It's just, and this Zoom thing going on in a pandemic, this is great. Like who knew we could have these discussions and, you know, and still have us share his magic with each other. You know, like it made my day getting those art. Like I was just like, oh my God. Oh, by the way, girls, those little 7 cards you got in there, that was Siren who included that for you both.
Oh.
Now, like I didn't order those. She included it as a bonus kind of thing, so you could see other art. So I was like, ah, and so like, you know, I'm ordering my Michael's frames online, and so I can go pick them up at curbside and put my art pieces in there for my office. Like I rearranged my whole office because of just based on those 4 pictures I was getting, you know, and the book, like I got the book, and we have like how Siren too. Siren has a couple other books too. There's Art and Soul, you know, and so you're a poet too. Like were you always like that with all the poems you have written, and they're beautiful words, like they're just so just moving.
Here I go again saying what I'm not, but I'm not a poet. I'm not a writer. I don't like writing.
Wow.
Wow, that's hard to believe.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, wow.
Yeah, Michael brings things out in you that are unexpected, you know. He taps into things that you don't know are there, and that seem to kind of come from someplace bigger than you, and that's the best part. I can't get enough of that. That's great.
You know, Siren, I started seeing your art like around the time I found the seventh child, I started seeing you around Facebook, and I have to say that the artwork in your series, Icons, takes my breath away. People in the chat, if you've seen, I'm sure you've seen Siren's artwork around social media. You have Michael in various stances and poses with the golden halo around him, and you mentioned it earlier. I was hoping that you could give us some insight onto why you chose that way to, I guess, to show us Michael in that way. And if you could talk also about some of the other series that you have on your website, the Dancing the Dream, the Icons. Love to hear about that.
Yeah, I was painting icons of Michael before I started calling them icons. But basically, when you say the word icon, people kind of tag that onto religion, especially Christianity, but icons are in all religions, and they're basically, and they're also non-religious as well. So basically what they are is just an expression, a soul expression, that the intention of it is to have the embodiment of that, the energy of that being present in the painting. And so what you're hoping is that the person who looks at the painting can encounter the being personally. But also usually what happens with icons is when you encounter the being, you also encounter yourself. And so usually icons will bring something up about you. So you might not like it, or you maybe can't stop thinking about it, or you feel, you know, something energetically or whatever it is. If you're having that experience with the icon, then it's doing its work. This past summer, I was fortunate enough to spend some time at a retreat center in the US called Ender's Island, and it was for iconography. It was Catholic iconography. So I went for 1 week to this paradise island with the most beautiful people and learned to paint icons in the way that they, using old style. It was Byzantine, so we learned how to mix paints. We learned how to apply gold leafing, just using ancient techniques, and I was just in my element. It was just fantastic. But I really feel that that's where I'm going with my art. I really feel like that is what I want to do. I want to create a place where people can have an experience with Michael like I had with Michael in the movie theater at This Is It. So that's and if not, then at least have somebody leave wondering why I painted it, you know, and then hopefully they go away and look closer at Michael and find out why. So.
Do you read these books to your kid? Like, do you, I don't know, you'll have kids or grandchildren, or do you read these books to them, or the story books?
My grandchildren, yeah, I've dedicated books to them.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I'm shy to read my own books to them, but
Aww.
yeah, the ones I've ever read them to, actually.
Oh. Well, I'm going to read them to my grandchildren whenever I get one. Hopefully a couple more years. But so, have any fan questions in the chat there, or
any questions from you guys? I know we've been having a pretty deep conversation. Rita Boschio says her Icon series moves me I can't pronounce this. Bodhisattva left me speechless when I saw it in person. The definition is one who has attained enlightenment, but who postpones nirvana in order to help others to attain enlightenment. That's Michael, she says.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was, wow. So I had a visceral experience when I saw Sirens. I'm sorry if I can't pronounce this. Sirens. Can you say it for me, Siren?
Bodhisattva.
Bodhisattva. I had a visceral experience when I saw Siren's Bodhisattva painting. It was the message of Namaste to me. The divine in me greets the divine in you, which I have heard that before. Yes. Oh my goodness. Tammy Williams, you do that and more, Siren. Your art is inspiring as well as beautiful. I hope you guys both go back and look at the comments in this chat, because it's a flood of love and an outpouring of love for both of you. It's wow. But you know, back to vulnerability, I will say that it's been really inspiring to see you, Brenda. I checked your YouTube channel a while ago, last year, and I saw the speech you gave at your church. I don't know if it was at your church, it was a church, and you were talking about Michael's presence and influence and impact on your life. And based on what you just said here with us, saying that you're shy, you're introverted, you know, and that's kind of not your thing, but you did it. Something in you felt compelled to speak to all those people.
Ever since Michael came, I've done all kinds of things that I've never done before. Like, I didn't even have friends before. I didn't. You know, I spoke at my church, and I asked if I could. I was so on fire about him. It was in 2011 in May, so that was like, from right now, it's 9 years ago. Yeah, that's since then I haven't spoken again till now, really. So,
oh, we're so honored to have you girls here. Really, this is amazing.
Imagine a church that lets me do that, but they couldn't really say no because I was kind of part of the church. But I love doing it, and getting ready for this. I remembered how I felt, even though I was terrified, just like I was today. But I feel like that's what I want to do. So, I've waited 9 years between the first time and the second time. So it's something about needing to be the opposite of what you are. Maybe like he brings out, if it matters enough, you can do it.
Wow. So this cover of the book, stunning. How did this become the cover? It's just beautiful. Like,
they say, I love the artwork with the butterfly, so pretty. Everyone's talking about the cover now.
Oh, it's just stunning. Like, look at that beautiful artwork. It's so gorgeous. And the story is just, I could read this story every day, honestly. I don't have any kids. Well, I have a kid. He's older though. He's 28 or whatever, but so I'm not gonna read that to him. But maybe I will give it to him, actually. Yeah.
How it happened was, it was one of those come alive in your life kind of things, but this is a really small picture. But when I'm thinking about a painting, I usually will get the whole concept of it at once. But this one, I didn't. I could see the shape of Michael, but I couldn't tell what photo it was. And the other thing I could see were the trees, the dancing trees in the background. And so I was getting really frustrated trying to figure out what picture this was of Michael in this position, which people have told me since he's in the shape of a number 7, and I didn't know that until later.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, oh, he's going with the wind or something. He is. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, beautiful.
But while I was frustratingly waiting for that to come clear in my heart, I thought, well, I might as well stop sitting here doing nothing and at least start thinking about the dancing trees behind him. So I Googled dancing trees, and this picture came up. And when I saw this picture, I instantly knew what picture of Michael it was. I'll see if you guys can, I don't know if you guys can see that or not. You guys see
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
that? I saw that
Wow.
tree, and when I saw that tree, I
Oh,
knew exactly which. So like things like that, like crazy things like that were happening. So
Yeah, he leaves you messages, doesn't he? I feel like he does that to us too in our lives, you know? Does he leave you
does.
little, you know, symbols or messages or something?
yeah, some are bigger than others for sure.
You just have to be willing and aware and ready, and it's not like anybody has a exclusive channel.
Mhm.
He's here for everyone.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
you found the tree, found the painting you're gonna do, and just the piano keys and the little violins everywhere, and the birds and the notes are, it's just beautiful, and the story is so magical. So where does it, when everybody, it's on Amazon, right? It's on Amazon, and where else can people get this book? Because it's a must-have for, read it yourself, whether your kids or not. It's a story, a magical story of him.
We've put the Amazon link on the live chat right here.
Ah,
Is there a direct website link as well you'd like us to share?
No, not really. It's just
Just Amazon? Okay. All right, everyone, we have about 10 minutes before we start wrapping up. If you have any questions, this is your last time to ask. So we'll be checking in these last 10 minutes, okay? But I guess I wanted to know if you guys had if each of you individually had any future projects in mind. I know, Siren, there's a part of your website where you talk about works that are in progress. And Brenda, I don't know if you have any other books planned, but if you guys do, if you're comfortable with sharing that, it'd be great to know, something to look forward to.
Well, I have one story that I'm working on, which is not like any of the other ones, of course, because they always have to be different. You can't repeat yourself. Michael never allowed that in himself, and he doesn't really, if you're listening, it's going to be different every time because we're always expanding and trying things we've never done. So yeah, it's more of a longer book, an adult book, no pictures, I don't know. But then I also want to do one. I also have an idea for one that's based on that one in the mirror. Michael's writing and dancing the dream, that one in the mirror.
Oh, okay.
I have lots of, who knows which ones are going to come out.
So you think I know this is kind of done in the style of a parable, like Michael's dancing the dream poems and stories. Will it be in that style, or did you say it would be for adults, or?
I think so. That one in the mirror, yes. I think.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I'm looking forward to that.
I hope we get to work on that one together. We kind of have been talking about that one, but I, Brenda is a dream writer to work with because she has, I always say this about her writing, is she has an amazing gift of expressing deep and profound thoughts with simple language. And that's what is so beautiful about children's books, because people think that they don't, they're just playful or not very deep, but there's so much wisdom in them. And the way that Brenda is able to express, she kind of pares everything down and leaves what's important, and it makes it brings it out so much more. So when I read her writing, I see Michael clearly. I see Michael clearly. She has a beautiful vision of him.
It's definitely a gift.
Paula Cole on the live chat is asking, have you got a favorite Michael Jackson song or costume? To both of you.
Songs change it like constantly. 1 week it's one song, 1 week it's another, right?
Yeah.
It depends. Yeah, wow.
You're getting some commission art or orders now, I guess, too. Like you're working on some.
I very rarely do commissions, like I said, because I'm not very good at. Usually, when people contact me for commissions, they describe in detail what they want, and that commission's not for me because I can't do that. I usually send them to the next person, and there's so many fantastic artists in the Michael world. So I did one recently, which I love doing, and she was very gracious to let me do what I do. But no, normally I don't. Normally I just paint whatever comes.
So it creates itself. Just remember, people used to ask Michael, how does the song create itself? And then we're asking the same, thing from both of you now, which I'm sure you didn't imagine that 15 years ago, but now you can say the same thing, that it's really creating itself for you or through you or whatever is happening. Your experiences have woken something in both of you.
I think that's what art is. Like that's what Michael said. It's the union, the divine and the material is what art is, and that's why it's not appreciated, and it's also why it's the key to personal joy is expressing, and it doesn't mean everyone has to be an artist. Like people can be like in the Seventh Child, they're cooks or they're nurses or they're mothers or whatever is lifting your heart and making your soul sing. That's what it is. So we all have something, and it's all part of oneness. Like oneness is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Rita says, yes, Brenda has a powerful gift in expressing things in simplicity, so it's easily understood. And Joy Elliott is asking, has Siren considered creating a public wall mural or any sort of public art, I guess?
Oh.
Yeah, that question came in.
Well, all of her paintings are in her house. They've never been seen by anyone. I get to see them. I'm so privileged because seeing them in person, like those other girls were saying, they got to come and see them. It's hugely different, as gorgeous as they are in the prints or as you can see right now, but to be there is different. And so we really need to figure out a way somehow to have people see them. I mean, this is full and they're stacked, and you can't even see them all there because there's nowhere to put them. We need something. So
it's an idea, Siren, no pressure, but there was that exhibition last year on the wall that traveled around to different countries, and
They didn't invite me.
Oh, well, maybe you could probably just have your own exhibition with everything that you have. If Brenda's saying that you have so much, just an idea, you never know.
Well, as soon as we can fly, I'm gonna come to Calgary for sure. And
can't wait. That would be great.
That would be so amazing. I want to get for sure. I'm gonna get something, and I want to meet both of you because I'm just like, oh my God, we're only like one province away, or whatever. Too, but.
And this is what Carla said. Seeing them in person is totally different. His eyes are alive. Ooh. So there you go. So that's something to think about, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, people can order from your website, right? Like you have a website where your art is, and the books are on Amazon. And because really, to have a piece of the books and to have the art is just, you have to have it for your collection because it's just really beautiful. Like my office, I just love it. It's just, I love those art pieces on my wall, and my damask wallpaper. It's just stunning to me. I'm just like, I have so much stuff in my office. Don't have enough wall space, but just it's beautiful. It just gives it a new character now.
Gorgeous. Oh yeah.
We don't get a lot of feedback, so I just want to say how much this has meant to us. You guys have been really generous in sharing your hearts and your feelings, and it just means a lot to us, especially what you said about when you what the Seventh Child did for you at a dark time. So that's kind of what we always hope for. But the books go out, and you don't know what happens to them, and
right.
If anybody ever cares or anything ever happens. So it's so great to know that it matters.
Oh, it absolutely matters. I think what I came away with through this talk and just by seeing both of your works over the past year is that I guess the best way that we can live out Michael's example is just to connect to our child's heart and to live, just to live in that way, to live by example. You know, we don't have to prove anything to the world. It's like what you said, Siren. We're not here to convince people. Just living our lives in that way is enough of an example for people to say, huh, look at her. You know, she's happy, she's creative, she's open-minded, she's open-hearted. You know, what is it about her that makes her that way? And that's how people learn, I think. That's how people change. It's not you forcing things down their throat. It's you living as an example. And I think you guys both embody that with how you live your lives and how you create your art. So thank you.
It meant, like, honestly, just even yesterday and today, like, I was so excited for them to get their little piece, you know, their little tiny piece of art, and that I can somehow, because these are my like new family, my little book club girls here, and it's like to be able to connect through the magic of Michael and your art and this story, and to it just, like, I don't know, I was so happy to surprise them with something like that, something that's just random, and just to have that little bit of magic in the middle of this terrible thing. And so the pictures were it's like, what would Stephanie like in that picture, and then what would Jeanette like, and I'm trying to figure this out, you know. And it was just so fun to do that and to give a little bit of magic of Michael through your art, through your words, like just a little bit of something during this time. And I feel, you know, you feel more connected that way, like across the world from each other, and never having met anybody in real life. So it's kind of fun. It was really fun. I'm just so made my week anyway. So, and then just speaking to you directly and about your book, and it's just such a pretty story.
Yeah, this was the highlight of my week and the cherry on top. I mean, Brenda, your book captures the innocence, his philosophy, his outlook on life. Siren, your art captures his beauty, even his sensuality and his power and his magic. All of it is rolled into one, and it's overwhelming sometimes when you look at your art. And Brenda, some of the words in your book brought me to tears. And yeah, I just hope that everyone who's watching really, you know, gives this a chance and reads this book. It's powerful.
Yeah, it's not only for children. It really isn't. It's more than that. It is. It's a message.
Yeah.
Alexis Richards on the live chat has just said that she just heard With a Child's Heart, the song in her mind, a king to her, that Michael sang from when he was a little boy. So that's something we could all listen to and reflect on.
Yes.
But I think what you said, Stephanie, it's really the key of everything is to, he didn't preach and he didn't say do this or do that. He just lived his example, and that's what we have the chance to do too. So it's not like you can yell at somebody in the lineup or whatever, and you know, it has to be always, you have to be true to that love, which he was always. It's not like a turn and switch on and off. It has to be, you know, that's what he asks of us, is to be there. Mm-hmm. And if I'm thinking, well, if I'm wearing a Michael shirt, which you need to get a few of, you know, or I have him on my car, you know, people, I'm not going to be cutting people off because they're thinking about Michael right now. And if I cut them off,
that's smart.
Has to be your whole life. It's important, I think. Anyways, it is for me anyway.
Mm-hmm. Love that. I love that. Well, do we have any other closing remarks before we wrap this up? Tammy, Jeanette?
Kathy,
message you have, sorry.
Sorry, I was just saying, Kathy Payne is shouting out for Forever Love too. She wants everyone to look at that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, I want to get those books too. It's Forever Loved and Ever After or something, right? Sorry.
Ever After, Forever Loved.
Forever Loved, and then Smile Effect.
Smile Effect, and
then there's Art Soul from Siren. And there's also the love stories. They're beautiful.
I mean, if
artwork throughout everything. Beautiful.
I think what I really like about the Book of Prayers, Siren, is that Michael is part of your life and your daily rituals. And I think so many of us do that with Michael. He's just a part, just completely integrated into our lives. And so definitely check out that book if you do that. And was there anything else that anyone wanted to say before we end?
I love you girls. You're so beautiful and open and loving. I just really appreciate you having us here.
Oh, we love you too. We do. I'm just so excited to have connected with you girls, you know, all of you, and our fan, or our the fan group and the club members. It's just amazing. I have the same message, really. It is about one.
But I don't know how long your book group has been open, but it's amazing. It's so deep reaching, you know. It's not just a bunch of books, like we're talking about them, and there's some really articulate, really amazingly intelligent, deep thinking, fantastic people there. I love it so much.
Oh, that's so awesome. Yeah, it was just the three of us last fall. Stephanie and another Michael Jackson fan. Like I wasn't involved. I wasn't into like the Facebook thing and all the different, you know, I'm not really into that as much. But so she put this one posting about which out of 4, which ones do you like, or something like that. And then Jeanette's talking on it, and then I'm talking on it, this little chat. Then I'm like, we should start a Michael Jackson club, LOL book club, right? And so we were like, yeah. And so we did, just the three of us for the longest time. We're just like wanting to talk about the books, because where else do you do that? Like right? So then that's what happened. So we just, for a long time, it's almost like waited till the next step to go public. Like we were probably 6 months before. It was just the three of us yapping about books all day long.
In a group, just us.
Hoping like, let's go, like, let's just have more people involved, you know, and just, so that's all it is. So
I opened it up in January.
Like this is just, yeah, just kind of, we're just winging it and enjoying it and having fun and talking about books and meeting all kinds of amazing people and fans, and it's fun. It's so fun. It's great.
And then came Howard Bloom, and wow, everything went crazy.
They were like, wow, yeah, like who knew you have to talk to authors? Like it's just
we didn't even think that was going to be part of it. We didn't think we were going to be talking to content creators. That was just something that came up.
You guys have created, like, this is your thing, so I'm just so grateful for it, and who knows what he's going to bring to you next.
It kind of is cool, like it's kind of, to me, it's honestly a magical experience, all of it. Every book I read, and then connecting to the authors or the artists, and then to each other. And you know what's really interesting too with this is that you never know what you're going to find out. Like in Bill's, you know, when he says there's a little piece of information there that we didn't know about before, that you know, still, that can be used in defense too. Like we're like, wow, that couldn't have happened, like, you know, or whatever. But who knows what's going to come of this? Like, who knows? No idea. Just kind of wanting to have authors talk about their books and share their art and inspirations, and you know, just there's other people who have really done a lot of research in their life. They've spent years doing things that we want to have them to just talk about that. And it's amazing, like how much love you put into your work, and Michael, and wow, it's just,
that's what you guys are doing now. So just run with it. Like it's the sky's the limit.
Yeah. It's been unraveling in a magical way. And
it's magic.
when I first saw both of you join our group, I was like, yay, oh my gosh. And you know, we wanted to have this talk with you for a while. So we were happy when you said yes. We were like, oh, so exciting.
Yes.
But this is a comment from Joy Elliott. She says, this is a demonstration that Michael is forever present. You know, this, all of what we're doing, your art, your writing, this book club group, he's just still here with us. So I think that's a perfect way to end this, right?
Thank you again. You guys are beautiful, amazing women, and thank you for sharing your hearts with us, because you really have touched mine. I'm telling you, you did. And I was just like, and I wanted to share that too with those two, you know, my besties there in the Michael Jackson world. And you know what I actually included, I wrote a letter to the girls. I just want to say, Siren, because I saw something about, I think on your Facebook page something about my sister and Michael. Sister, like instead of sister-in-law, I was like, oh, I love that. So I totally put that. I said, dear Steph, my sister in Michael, and dear Jen, whatever.
That's how we feel. That's
true. But I got that from Siren. I don't know who else uses that term. I'm like, oh, that's exactly what it is. And I'm just like, yeah, I was just so excited to do all of that. And
Well,
I hadn't written a letter for years, like honestly.
Meeting in person is even another level. So like, you know, come on out in June. Let's all go to LA next June.
Yeah, hopefully. I thought that because Steph, we've all thought about like, oh, we should go out there. And I was always wondering like, who would I go with? And I guess I could go meet them in LA. But yeah, of course, I would totally come to Calgary first or something. And go.
Oh my gosh, I would love. Oh, it would be so. Book club meetup. Oh, that would be
Everyone invited.
fantastic.
Me too. Right now.
All of you on the live chat too. Ooh.
Yes, all of us.
Who knows,
all
like,
of
we'll
us.
have some sort of meetup in August or like in June or whatever, some year when we're allowed to fly. And
That's something I'm gonna look forward to. That's something I would, just to get out of this whole quarantine thing. That's definitely something to look forward to. Oh,
that's what I mean. It's a little bit of magic in the midst of this world of ours, you know?
Yeah.
And it really has touched me. So you girls are amazing. Just amazing. And thank you for being so brave and just to do that. Like it's
live streaming, live broadcast is scary. It's scary, guys. Everyone in the chat, this is hard to do. So thank you.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna say, like, I'm a realtor now. I have been for 15 years or whatever. I don't even take pictures. I had the same picture for 13 years. And I only changed it 2 years ago because I hate pictures. So this is huge. I'm just like, oh, I hate cameras, pictures, all of it. So yeah, we're all getting out of our comfort zones to try to be together and
that's what happens when you follow your heart. It takes you out of your comfort zone and you learn who you are. So.
It's not where it's at. Being comfortable is not where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned.
Oh, you're wise ladies.
You're very inspiring, really. You're really inspiring, all of us. I'm sure everybody out there gonna be like, wow, like you gotta buy these books. I'm gonna own all of them. Of course, at some point I just gotta get a couple more. And so
I know I will be. Well, there's people in the chat asking us to post the links to everything, and we will do that as soon as we get off of this this live broadcast. We'll make a separate post with everything, Siren's website, Brenda's Amazon page, each of the books, Siren's art. So don't worry. I know there's a lot of people asking, so we will do that. Don't worry. But I guess with that, I will say.
Have one question though. I have one question I gotta ask.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not, Siren, I'm not sure if this is together, but you provide Dancing the Dream books, or what's that charity about? Like providing to children. Like, that's amazing. Like that's an amazing. What is that about?
Dormant right now, actually, but just all my proceeds from my art, 100% of the proceeds from my prints, and books, and 50% of my commissions, which doesn't happen very often, so don't get too excited. But I use that money to buy copies of Michael's book, Dancing the Dream.
Oh my God.
And then we take them to children's hospitals, libraries, anywhere, and donate them just because we want Michael to be everywhere. We want people to know.
Michael to kiss. Oh, that is beautiful. I didn't know exactly what it was. I just read it. I know I read it, and I just can't remember it. Wow. So your proceeds go to books to buy the Dancing the Dream for children. That would be something Michael must be just.
He would totally do that.
Wow. Beautiful. What a beautiful soul.
We didn't know. Thank you for asking that, Tammy. I didn't know.
Yeah, I saw some of that. That's amazing. Wow.
Well done, Tammy, the investigator.
Yeah, she is. Scoops things, finds the scoop and everything.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. So how many books do you think you bought? I'm just going to ask that too now since we're on that subject.
Oh gosh, it's been going a lot of years, and some years none, and some years 10. So
wow.
not a whole lot, maybe 30 or 40 copies over the years.
So just different countries or hospitals where exactly?
Actually, I've mailed them to people who've, basically what I say is if you have somewhere in your city, somewhere close to you that you would like a book to go to, let me know, and then when I have books available, I can send them, and those people can take them and donate them. And if not, if nobody requests them, then we find places for them on our travels.
Oh, that's
beautiful.
so nice. That's that's such a magical book. Dancing the Dream is everybody's favorite magical book, I'm sure. And wow.
And that's a way to spread the word on that book. A lot of people don't know about it, even within the fan community. I'm always surprised when people don't know about that book.
It's an important book, and it's one of those things that kind of is hidden.
Mm-hmm.
I think it finds the people that it's supposed to find, but it's it's Michael's soul. It's how to live.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a beautiful, important book.
I really recommend that. I know we haven't made a post about Dancing the Dream. Well, Paula Cole, you post a lot of poems about Dancing the Dream, but we haven't actually posted the book in the group. But please, if you haven't read it, you need to read it, really.
Oh.
There's a couple different editions. That's the original.
Yeah.
And I have the newer one that came out after his death.
Oh.
Mine is
We're
very
all connected through this book too. See? It's all magic.
Everyone.
Oh. That's
Perfect.
Beautiful, beautiful.
All right. Well, anything else, Jeanette?
I
know it's late for you.
Sorry, guys. I
No, it was great, Tammy. I just wanted, it's really late for you, Jeanette, I know, but anything?
Well, I'm just feeling left out because my version of Dancing the Dream is upstairs.
No, it's okay.
I want to hold it too.
All right, everyone. Well, this has been amazing. Everyone in the chat is saying this was such a great session. This was amazing, just hearing everything about and learning about you both. And so with that, I just want to say thank you for making the time to talk with us and for being vulnerable and sharing yourselves and your stories and your art with us. And like I said to everyone in the chat, we will be posting the links to all of Siren's and Brenda's work. So stay tuned for that. All right. So with that, good night and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you, girls. Thank you, girls.
Siren. Thank you so much.